In this video, we're going to work on your Chapter 5 homework, problem number 2. Problem number 2 is a very straightforward problem relating to break-even point in unit sales or break-even point in dollar sales. Looking at the formulas in your book to calculate the break-even point in units, all you're going to do is you're going to take the fixed cost and you're going to divide it by the unit contribution margin. And if you remember, the unit contribution margin is the selling price minus the variable cost per unit. So if Marlowe Products sells a woven basket for $16 per unit and its variable expense is $13 per unit, its unit contribution margin is 16 minus 13, which of course is 3. So now all we have to do to calculate the break-even point in units is to take the fixed expenses of $6,000 and divide it by the unit contribution margin of 3, which of course is going to be 2,000 units. Now, another way to solve the problem would be to use algebra. Using algebra, I'm going to let Q equal the sales in units. Now I'm going to write out the profit equation horizontally. So we have sales minus our variable cost minus our fixed cost equals the operating income. So now I'm going to fill in what I know. So my sales are 16 multiplied by the quantity. My variable cost, is 13 multiplied by the quantity. My fixed cost is given as 6,000. And at the break-even point, my operating income is 0. So now combining like terms, 16Q minus 13Q, gives me 3Q minus 6,000 equals 0. Then moving the 6,000 to the other side, 3Q equals 6,000. And we come down to the same formula. Our break-even quantity in units is 6,000 divided by 3, which of course is 2,000 units. Now there are two ways that you can get to the break-even point in dollar sales. So to get to the break-even point in dollar sales, one way to do it is you could take the break-even point in units and multiply it by the sales price. So in this case, we calculated 2,000 units. Our sales price is 16. So it looks like we would need $32,000 in sales in order to break even. Now another way to calculate that break-even point in sales dollars instead of in units, another way to do it is to take the fixed cost and divide it by the contribution margin percentage. Our contribution margin percentage is the contribution margin divided by the sales price. So in this case, our contribution margin percentage is our $3 contribution margin divided by our sales price of 16. So we get 0.1875, and they said not to round intermediate calculations. So our break-even point in sales dollars is our fixed cost of $6,000 divided by 0.1875. So that should work out to the same $32,000. Now, in Part 3, if the company's fixed expenses increase by $600, what would be the new break-even point in unit sales and in dollar sales? So we'll answer both of them together. So in Part 3, if the fixed expenses increase by $600, the new fixed expenses are $6,000 plus $600, which of course is $6,600. So now I'm just going to use the formula method. So the new break-even in units is the fixed cost divided by the unit contribution margin. So our new fixed cost is $6,600, but our unit contribution margin, it didn't say that the sales price or the variable cost per unit changed, so it's still 16 minus 13, which would be 3. So now all we have to do is take 6,600 divided by 3, and we get 2,200. Now again, for the new break-even point in sales dollars, we can either take 2,200 and multiply it by 16, which would be the easiest way to get to it. $35,200. But remember, our contribution margin percentage did not change, so we can also calculate our new break-even in dollars as the new fixed divided by the contribution margin ratio. So in this case, I would take 6,600 and divide it by 0.1875. And I should get the answer, same answer of 35,200. And there we go. We have now completed problem number 2.